Hello, I'm Freelander. Welcome to the Game Trove. Just wanted to shoot a quick video about what I think a good game should have. How I think the best games should be structured and the different economies that can happen. So I'm going to go through my normal review process, but I'm going to be talking about why I think games will do best in different scenarios. For accessibility, I think games have to have some sort of free-to-play model at least to start and get a good distance into the game. Like the gameplay loop should be able to complete as a free-to-play, at least one of the game loops. That's big. And platforms and multiplayer. I believe the best games will have significant multiplayer, and the very best games will be browser-based or low latency browser-based, or at least on every device that you could imagine. Localization as well in different languages. Graphics, they have to be good at the genre they are. So if they're 2D, they have to be really good. Like if they're rustic, really good rustic. If they're shiny, really pleasant to the eye. If they're 3D and not cartoony, if they're going for realism, they should be ultra realistic. If they're kind of cartoony, they should be like that shiny, soft thing there. The UI, I like sparkles. I like really good AI or UI. Aprion has really great UI that I've seen. That's a game I've seen recently. And Ember Sword would be one of the best as far as accessibility goes once it's released. World, engaging story and characters, and just well laid out map that's either randomly generated or preferably bits of randomly generated and bits of curated that just fits really well together. Some sort of infinite map is always good, but also places where it's linear as well. Just a good mixture of that. It's really nice. Gameplay itself should have the hardest parts of the game should be very, very, very competitive, very hard to do, but a lot of the gameplay loops should be just easy for casual gamers to go do and save the best rewards for the most challenging areas, obviously, but some rewards for all the areas. Learning curve, of course, should be gradual but with shortcuts, like really easy to do right away, but for advanced gamers that don't want to take the time that they can get right into the meat and potatoes. The game economy, the best one I've seen recently is Litcraft, where you can craft a ton of different things, sell them to other players, and they have an effect on the game. Now, not all that needs to be on the open market. That's kind of a different deal. In-game economy, like players needing to craft things for other players, is a very nice thing. Genre, of course, it doesn't really matter just so long as it does that genre well. Core loops, you gotta nail that 30 seconds. Whatever it is, you gotta nail it. Both in initial fun, like it has to be fun right away, but also in replayability, like depth of stuff. UI just needs to be intuitive, good controls. I think the best games will have customization in controls, and inventory must have sorting features and be well laid out. Tokenomics, it just depends on which stage. Final stage, the tokenomics should be slightly deflationary. Staking is nice. Initially, the team shouldn't have a huge allocation. I don't think there should be a buy-sell tax. I think there should be a buy-sell tax on NFTs, but not necessarily the token. Vesting schedule, of course, you need to watch that. And use case, it should be an integral part of whatever you're doing, and so that it gets used by the normal player, even if they're completely free to play. And that can tie to the NFTs. Like Ember Sword just has a buy-sell tax on NFTs, and that feeds into the token, which gets distributed to the team and to the player, because they're the ones selling the NFTs, and to the landowners. So it's really, really good setup there. As far as economies go, Ember Sword is on one side, Litcraft would be on the other, where Litcraft, everything you sell has an effect on the game, and can really, so you could really pay for the best stuff and have the best output. But Ember Sword, you have to play for all the things you need in the game, whereas you would pay for cosmetics. You could get the very best cosmetics, but you couldn't necessarily get the very best sword with real world money. So two different economies, one's pay to win and one's not. I don't mind pay to win. I don't mind not play to win. Mixture of the two usually doesn't end up best. I think you should probably go one way or the other, and just make it easy for players to start and kind of build up if they're free to play, if it's pay to win. So that obviously, if you come in with money, you can get a head start, but it's not like the free to play player is stuck in the muck. NFTs obviously should. The type of NFT matters. What I just talked about, what effect it has on the game or not, and cosmetic, whether it's really nice, the quality of it, whether it's in-game or cosmetic, really does matter. Or land NFTs, all sorts of different things. Utility, they should be highly useful in one way or another. You could have cosmetics that also feed into staking your NFT. That might be cool. So you have to have the NFT to get to maximize your staking capability. So that all feeds into the desirability of the collectibles. Obviously, you want your digital collectibles to be highly desired. I am a fan of games having both a token and NFTs. A lot of people are like, "Why does this game need a token?" I think if a lot of in-game currencies, just so long as they're not, just so long as they're pay to win, if they have an in-game currency that's specific to that game, I think it's a good thing. Yeah, it could be inflated. You have to get the tokenomics right, but yeah. So supply of the collectibles, you want that to be deflationary somehow as well. Not always doable, but you can have, like, where commons, you can merge them into higher tier ones, and that can make at least the common ones deflationary. Also, having seasons where you can only get certain NFTs in a season, so that season is ultimately going to be deflationary, where there will still be new ones as seasons progress, but each season is in and of itself deflationary. I think is a good model. Gameplay mining, you want it to take some time or difficulty for your top level stuff. You don't want it too easy that everything just gets inflated to oblivion. But you also want every player to be able to earn just a little bit. But the higher skill players to earn a lot, in my opinion. investment cycle stage, you just need to watch which stage it's in and be careful. None of this is financial advice. Kind of. It's not. Kind of. Okay, players. So potential income, you want it to be high for players, team, and investors. I do believe this is doable. I believe some players will be paying into the ecosystem. You want the game to be so fun that players want to spend money on it. Players spend thousands and thousands of dollars on games that don't have free market viability. So why wouldn't they spend thousands of dollars on stuff that they could potentially resell if only for a little bit of what they paid for it? But it's kind of like back in the video game cartridge era. There are certain cartridges that now go for a lot of money, and it's because they're collector's items, and everybody paid for the cartridges back then. Some people used them and used them to death because they loved the game. Everybody didn't mind paying for them, but you want potential income to be high across all those sectors, depending on the and a great way to do that is to have a fun game that people want to spend money on, whether they're going to get any back or not. Long term and short term, of course, are different in that regard. I believe the best gameplay mining rewards those who stick with the game long term. Marketing and network effects, you want to watch their socials and their Discord to make sure they're gaining traction over time. Lulls are fine, especially during bear markets, but you want to check in and make sure the team's still building. You want a team that's both experienced financially, economics-wise, and how to bring a game to market, but also really good at building quality games in whatever genre they're doing. So gameplay, longevity, you want both the economy, the gameplay, the replayability, and uniqueness to all market saturation to all come together for longevity of the game. IP helps, either unique IP or an IP like the NFL. NFL Rivals is one that I think is up and coming that could be really good. Market viability, this all feeds into roadmap. You want to make sure they have a good roadmap. They don't necessarily have to give deadlines because deadlines are often missed, but just a concrete plan of this is what we're going to do going forward, and this is the order we're going to do it, and this is what it's going to look like. You want a really good roadmap. So all that feeds into market viability, and that is kind of the capstone of will this do well as far as getting players and being a long-term good investment as well as good to play for rewards. So, no financial advice. All right, that's all I have for you today. Enjoy your weekend, and Freelander